Continuing to read The Science of Self-Realization by His Divine Grace, Srila A.C. Bhakti-Vedanta Swami Prabhupada. Chapter 2, Choosing a Spiritual Master, and this section is called Saints and Swindlers. Reporter: have you ever had people come to you who had previously been involved with a fake guru? Srila Prabhupada: yes, there are many. Reporter: were their spiritual lives in any way spoiled by the fake gurus? Srila Prabhupada: no, they were genuinely seeking something spiritual, and that was their qualification. God is within everyone's heart, and as soon as someone genuinely seeks Him, He helps that person find a genuine guru. Reporter: have the real gurus like yourself ever tried to put a stop to the false gurus? That is, put pressure on them to put them out of business, so to speak. Srila Prabhupada: no, that is not my purpose. I started my movement simply by chanting Hare Krishna. I chanted in New York, in a place called Tompkins Square Park, and soon people began to come to me. In this way, the Krishna consciousness movement gradually developed. Many accepted, and many did not accept. Those who are fortunate have accepted. Reporter: don't you feel that people are suspicious because of their experience with fake gurus? If you went to a quack dentist and he broke your tooth, you might be suspicious about going to another dentist. Srila Prabhupada: yes, naturally, if you are cheated, you become suspicious. But this does not mean that if you are cheated once, you will always be cheated. You should find someone genuine. But to come to Krishna consciousness, you must be either very fortunate or well aware of the science. From the Bhagavad Gita, we understand that the genuine seekers are very few. Manushyanam sahasreshu kaschid yatati siddhaye. Bhagavad Gita 7.3. Out of many millions of people, there may be only one who is interested in spiritual life. Generally, people are interested in eating, sleeping, mating, and defending. So how can we expect to find many followers? It is not difficult to notice that people have lost their spiritual interest. And almost all those who are actually interested are being cheated by so-called spiritualists. You cannot judge a movement simply by the number of its followers. If one man is genuine, then the movement is successful. It's not a question of quantity, but quality. Reporter: I wondered how many people you think might have been taken in by fake gurus. Srila Prabhupada: practically everyone. Laughter. There is no question of counting. Everyone. Reporter: this would mean thousands of people, wouldn't it? Srila Prabhupada: millions. Millions have been cheated because they want to be cheated. God is omniscient. He can understand your desires. He is within your heart. And if you want to be cheated, God sends you a cheater. Reporter: is it possible for everyone to attain the perfectional stage you spoke of previously? Srila Prabhupada: within a second. Anyone can attain perfection within a second, providing he is willing. The difficulty is that no one is willing. In the Bhagavad Gita 18.66, Krishna says, Sarva dharman parityajya mamekam sharanam vraja. Simply surrender unto me. But who is going to surrender to God? Everyone says, oh, why should I surrender to God? I will be independent. If you simply surrender, it is a second's business. That's all. But no one is willing, and that is the difficulty. Reporter: when you say that lots of people want to be cheated, do you mean that lots of people want to carry on with their worldly pleasures and at the same time, by chanting a mantra or by holding a flower, achieve spiritual life as well? Is this what you mean by wanting to be cheated? Srila Prabhupada: yes, this is like a patient thinking, I shall continue with my disease and at the same time I shall become healthy. It is contradictory. The first requirement is that one become educated in spiritual life. Spiritual life is not something one can understand by a few minutes talk. There are many philosophy and theology books, but people are not interested in them. That is the difficulty. For instance, the Srimad Bhagavatam is a very long book, very long work, and if you try to read this book, it may take many days just to understand one line of it. The Bhagavatam describes God, the absolute truth, but people are not interested. And if by chance someone becomes a little interested in spiritual life, he wants something immediate and cheap. Therefore, he is cheated. Actually, human life is meant for austerity and penance. This is the way of Vedic civilization. In Vedic times, they would train boys as brahmacharis. No sex life was allowed at all up to the age of 25. Where is that education now? A brahmachari is a student who lives a life of complete celibacy and obeys the commands of his guru at the Gurukula, school of the spiritual master. Now, schools and colleges are teaching sex from the very beginning, and 12 or 13-year-old boys and girls are having sex. How can they have a spiritual life? Spiritual life means voluntarily accepting some austerities for the sake of God realization. That is why we insist on no illicit sex, meat eating, gambling, or intoxication for our initiated students. Without these restrictions, any yoga, meditation, or so-called spiritual discipline cannot be genuine. It is simply a business deal between the cheaters and the cheated. A reporter: thank you very much. Srila Prabhupada: Hare Krishna. The absolute necessity of a spiritual master. Oh, this is a very, very important chapter actually. In February 1936, in Bombay, India, the members of a reputed religious society, the Gaudiya Math, were astonished by the powerful and eloquent words of a young member who spoke in honor of his spiritual master, Srila Bhaktisiddhanta Saraswati Goswami. 3 decades later, the young speaker would become the world-renowned founder and spiritual master of the Krishna consciousness movement. Srila Prabhupada's presentation is a memorable statement on the importance of the Guru in spiritual life. This is such an inspiring and important chapter, actually. Srila Prabhupada's speech at Bhaktisiddhanta Saraswati Thakur's Vyas Puja. We're going to read it tomorrow. So it's entitled The Absolute Necessity of a Spiritual Master. It's something I would want to absorb into. So we shall read it tomorrow. Thank you so much for tuning in today. Don't be cheated. And yes, follow the genuine way of spiritual life, and we shall see you tomorrow. Hare Krishna.